Good morning, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. So, hi, Sushant. Good morning,
Good
and
morning.
I hope everything is fine. So, today we are going to be talking about food. Food is something that gives us energy, and also Hippocrates, during his lifetime, he said that food is medicine and all diseases begin in the gut. These are the two things that helped us to develop a basis of creating gut microbiome solutions, right? So, today we will be talking about food molecules. What exactly are we feeding to our body? So, Sushant, my first question to you is that these days you can see there are a lot of on the go snacks, protein snacks and protein chocolates and what all supplements that they are giving us, and they're adding
Mm.
these supplements to food, right? They're adding some vitamins and what all minerals to the to the food items, right? Specifically for people who are busy, who don't have time to cook and all that. So I would like to know, these foods actually, are these giving you energy? Are these helping you in any way? Because you know what I have seen, I have been a customer to some of these companies. Some, I have tried a few protein bars, I have tried a few chocolates and all that, but instead I was down with a lot of weird symptoms, lot of digestive issues. And do you actually know that I am a histamine intolerant, right? So I have to be very cautious with these kind of food items, and it again triggered all of these inflammatory molecules inside me. And I would like to know, for other people as well, are they going to work at all? Are they going to benefit them in any way?
So first of all, let me start with one simple line. Do not feed anything to your body until you analyze your body, right? And when we talk of so-called healthy snacks or healthy chocolates, or claim that the chocolates are sugar free, or they have this much vitamin minerals, they have this much fiber, and a lot of these things, and the list goes on. My question to everyone and even these companies are: healthy for whom? For you, your partner, your dog, your cat, your pet, your spouse, or the cow going outside your house? Healthy for whom, right? So the definition of healthy very bizarre for all these companies, and it all, as you rightly pointed out, it all links to your microbiome. Your microbiome is actually epicenter of your health. It expresses 99% genes. 57% cells are microbial, right? They play a key role in various biological processes, including metabolizing food, producing neurotransmitters, regulating hormones, neutralizing pathogens, regulating satiety, and the list goes on, right? So essentially, there's nothing called as a universal healthy food or diet, right? Uh, unless you really understand that what specific food ingredients and substrates you're feeding your body and your microbiome with, right? So here, before I jump on to a very specific discussion on protein, right? Uh, I would like to open up a basic thing about, uh, the food nutrition, right? First of all, few important things to understand: that food is not only about calories, right? It is one of the aspect that, but it is not the only aspect to determine the food which is healthy for you or not, right? So food is a warehouse for 30,000 plus molecules, right? So when you're ingesting a meal, right, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever you're actually, more than 1,000 molecules are hitting your intestines. But even before that, the food which you eat are first available to your microbes before it is made available to your small intestine. So microbes in your mouth, pre-digest the food, and that's why we remember our parents and our grandparents telling us, please chew the food, right? It was not because probably something would get fixed in your mouth, or you may have some issues in absorbing it or galloping it. But it was more that your microbes in your mouth pre-digest the food, pre-process the food, and make sure that they are available for absorption, right? So since I mentioned, 99% of genes, around 2 to 20 million genes are microbial, and around 25,000 genes are human. So the 99% genes expressed in our body are microbial. So our body's ability to absorb a lot of foods is limited to 1%, right? So whatever can be absorbed in the small intestine, like, simple carbs, like limit to the amount of protein which our body needs for various cellular processes, for maintenance, muscle mass, and a lot of these things, right? Even we need certain protein for our brain health, right? Uh, so apart from that, a larger part goes to your intestines, and large intestine, and trillions of microbes living in our gut actually metabolize these food and can synthesize into various byproducts, right? And these byproducts are what, in scientific term, what we call is microbial derived metabolites, secondary metabolites, or in simple words for layman understand, it is their poop, right? It is a microbial poop which is nutrient. For instance, if you are eating fiber, right? The fiber is something which cannot be absorbed by human body, so it is a food for your microbiome, and the microbiome actually, metabolize this fiber and converts in short chain fatty acids, and short chain fatty acids is a microbial derived metabolite which strengthens your gut lining, which improves your satiety, and which regulates your blood sugar level. And that's why we are told to consume a lot of fiber when it comes to metabolic health, right? So this is the basics of food as medicine. So, food, nature has put a lot of ingredients in the food, which is medicine. We don't need an external source of antibiotics and drugs to repair our biology, right? Food itself is a source of medicine. The problem is that the medicine, because of wrong dietary choices, ultra processed foods, or maybe, not understanding our biology, eating food which are not aligned with our biology, is actually made our microbiome imbalanced, and they are uh, actually the bugs producing pro-inflammatory chemicals are doing a lot of pathogenic activities, right? Which is causing imbalance, which is causing disease, right? And specifically, one thing which I am more worried about is the one of the macronutrients which has become God over last few years, which
Yes,
is
yes, I agree. They say that a lot of people, I don't know why on earth would anyone say that without even knowing the composition of certain foods, but why do they say that India is protein deficient nation? It is not. And I would really like to give this message to all our listeners that, and through Sushant, that all the foods, whatever we are eating, whether it is grains, whether it is vegetables, whether it is fruits, all of them do contain amino acids. Isn't that correct?
yeah. So people who do not agree, I'll give you very very basic things. When we had built our system biology platform, right? It is populated with 320 plus foods across different categories, right? And we have populated every single molecule inside the body, mapped every single molecule for each of these foods. So we, with certainty, with scientific evidences, which all the scientific literature, we know how much of each amino acid is in there in cereal, millets, grains, green vegetables, right? Obviously,
Even some herbs have amino acids. It will be very
yeah,
surprising for people that things
yeah,
like garlic and ginger also have some amino
yeah,
acids, and they are not
yeah.
realizing how much amino acids they're consuming. Because our Indian food, which has these onion, tomato, we put all this tadka into our vegetables. So we are already adding those amino acids, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, I'll tell you, Sakshi, people would disagree and say, oh, the bioavailability of these amino acids is low. Who told you this? This is all bullshit, because I'll tell you basic facts here, and I'll even today I'll even tell you certain metabolites which your microbiome produces, which is going to cause various diseases. And
Before that, Sushant, before we hop on to that, I would really like you to elaborate on the term bioavailability because a lot of people they have some different notions about this term called bioavailability. So, what exactly it refers to in terms of human body?
so bioavailability, in simple words, I'll not get into too much scientific jargons, but it is, for instance, when you are taking antioxidants, right? So your human body cannot absorb it, right? So you essentially uh, need help of your microbiome to absorb. So only 5% of the antioxidants are metabolized by your human body. So it is that many enzymes are small intestine have, right? Similarly, when we talk of bioavailability, it is just a word used. Essentially, when all the amino acids are hitting your intestines, right? Uh, some of it is readily absorbed in your small intestine, which is metabolized into byproducts, which is available, which is made to flow through your bloodstream, which is available for various body organs, various cells for their growth, for their repair, for their various cellular processes, right? But the problem is not amino acids. I'm not saying do not eat protein, right? It is an essential part of your diet, right? It helps in your, you know, muscle recovery, fatigue. It helps in your cellular processes, repairs, right? In your brain health, multiple things. The problem starts when we start consuming too much of protein. And this I'm saying because a lot of people, even doctors, have started telling to replace carbohydrates with proteins, which is a wrong approach, right? Again, carbohydrates is has given a bad name, but it is required. So I'm not saying eat processed foods, eat food in oil and which is made using bad oils and ultra processed things, right? Wrong chemicals. That is all really bad. But do not give away the power of wheat, because if you see, even wheat have gone into bad rep, not because of wheat, because wheat itself has a lot of fiber in it, right? We know that we buy these things from wheat flour mill rather than going to buy a packaged food. But a lot of it's also because of a lot of pesticides being thrown on the way our soil microbiome is working. So there are multiple things right here. So it is also about the soil microbiome, also about the health of our microbiome, right? So coming onto the protein thing, right? When we are consuming too much of protein, when you are replacing a carbohydrate with protein, a lot of, in simple words, your small intestine say, "Oh, I need this much of it right now." Again, that is varied for individual. There is nothing of formula called, 1 gram, 2 gram, or to 1.5 grams. And this is generally acceptable norm that 0.8 grams per kg of body weight, which is again based on certain population studies, which is not unique for you, right? It
So
is
it
based on
could be,
average.
it is based on average healthy individual which does not have any disease or any condition or any autoimmunity, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So when your small intestine, oh, it is your body is smart. You'll say, okay, this is what I need right now, right? Let's you go to large intestine. No, now large intestine, these bugs inside our gut, they do not know what protein is, right? And there are certain protein fermenters inside, so certain proteobacteria and gamma protein and all these so-called commensals, which can become pathogenic if you are feeding them with certain things. Certain external trigger can make them become pathogenic, which can be consumption of excess protein, right? So when you consume a lot of excess protein, they start fermenting protein and convert that into, uh, something harmful metabolites, right? And these metabolites are linked with a range of chronic diseases, including type 2 diabetes, including cardiovascular disease, including chronic kidney disease and autoimmune disorders, right? So, so I will tell you few things here when we talk of, so people who are pre-diabetic or at risk of type 2 diabetes, they are told one basic thing, increase your protein intake and reduce your carbohydrates, right? People who are obese or who are looking to lose weight, they are told eat protein, less carbohydrates, right? So I'm going to tell you a few things here, which is going to, you know, in fact, unlearn all these things. So let us discuss, let us discuss with couple of amino acids, right? We don't have time to discuss everything, right? But I would like to discuss three amino acids here, right? One is tryptophan, right? Other is tyrosine, and third one is phenylalanine, right? So these are three things I would like to discuss. So let us talk about tryptophan, right? So tryptophan is an essential amino acids, right? We need to take it from our diet, from our nutrition, right? And there are numerous food which give us tryptophan, right? And it is really, really, again, whether it is beneficial or harmful depends upon your microbiome, right?
Also, tryptophan, is it anyway related to vitamin D absorption?
Uh, to some extent, yes, but that's not a point of discussion right now, right? So
No,
tryptophan
just
is
just just putting this for the listeners that yes, it is somewhere related to your vitamin D. That's
so tryptophan improves yours. It is some of it is metabolized into serotonin. Again,
okay.
serotonin we know it's required for our uh, brain functioning,
Brain
right?
functioning. Yes.
Regulating our mood, right?
Yes.
Happy hormone, that is what we call, and 90% serotonin is produced inside the gut, right?
So if
So this
serotonin is low, you will be going towards depressions and anxieties and whatever
depression,
mental health
yeah,
issues,
mood swings and a lot of these
mood
things,
swings
right?
and all this. If your
Yeah,
serotonin is low in that case. If,
yeah.
okay.
So again, certain microbes have the capability to convert tryptophan into serotonin, which helps in your brain health. However, it could convert tryptophan into indole derivatives, right? Which is one of the derivatives of indoxyl sulfate. Now, indoxyl sulfate is something which impacts your kidney functioning, right? When you're taking too much of protein, which is high in tryptophan, considering, okay, I need to replace. Again, people, when they eat protein, they do not see how much of each amino acids they're taking, how each of the amino acids is impacting different biological processes inside your body, right? So when we talk of tryptophan, right, it could produce, depending on certain micro, it could produce indoxyl sulfate, right? Or it could produce indole acetic acid, indole propionic acid, right? Which are beneficial, which are said to indole acetic, indole propionic acid is said to regulate your insulin levels, said to regulate your improve your insulin sensitivity, right? But indoxyl sulfate has an entirely opposite impact. So indoxyl sulfate impacts your kidney functioning. It, to some extent, it gets filtered out through your kidney, but when you're taking too much of tryptophan, your body is producing too much of indoxyl sulfate. It increases the so your kidney function become inefficient. It increases the circulatory level of indoxyl sulfate, right? Which causes oxidative stress, right? So it not only impacts your uh, kidney function, but also impact why oxidative stress, it also impacts your heart health. So it could lead to a cardiovascular disease situation as well, right? So you may be thinking, I'm going to eat tryptophan. It is going to make me give me serotonin or indole propionic acid, indole acetic acid, right? But it may maybe give you more indoxyl sulfate, right? Which is again pathogenic. It could trigger a host of metabolic health issues, including cardiovascular issues or chronic kidney disease, right? So that is one of the aspects, right? So it is not about what you're consuming, it is also about how your microbiome, when you consume too much of protein, how your microbiome is actually metabolizing this thing uh, into bad things, which is going to impact. Second thing is again another food substrate, lecithin, right? Lecithin is found mostly in egg yolks, right? Even fish, again, choline, L-carnitine found in broccoli also, right? Certain seeds as well, right? So if your microbes producing TMA is activity of these microbes is high. Probably, consumption of these foods could lead to production of, convert choline or lecithin into TMA. TMA gets absorbed into your blood. It goes to your liver where it gets into TMAO. TMAO is an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease, right? So again, eating too much of consuming eggs are healthy, eggs is healthy for brain health and a lot of these things, right? Probably it may trigger a lot of, you know, systemic health issues, right? So I mentioned about two things here, lecithin, choline. I mentioned about tryptophan. Now let us come on to one of the main important essential amino acid, tyrosine, right? So any questions here on this?
Oh, I think we are already going good in a flow. So let's just continue because you've already answered a lot of questions which might have come in between. So let's just continue with this tyrosine.
Okay. So when you talk of tyrosine, right? Again, tyrosine, certain microbes in the gut, when you're consuming, again, I'm saying it is not about consuming protein, it is about consuming excess protein. It is, do not consider that you don't need to eat protein. You need to have protein for various cellular processes, but when we take too much of it, when we replace carbohydrates with protein, which is what the problem creates, right? So when you are consuming too much of tyrosine, it could be converted into precresol. Again, precresol is a harmful metabolite which, like indoxyl sulfate, could impact your kidney functioning as well as it could impact, it could cause oxidative stress and cause cardiovascular disease. But it also suppresses the GLP-1 production, right? So it is also linked to onset and progression of obesity and type 2 diabetes. So now people who think that I have to take protein because I am pre-diabetic or I'm gaining weight and lose weight, I need to take too much of protein. You are in for a surprise because if your body is converting tyrosine into picresol, it is going to trigger a lot of basic issues in your metabolic health, right?
So this means that any guesswork related to protein, if you are eating any of these amino acids, specifically tyrosine, and if it is not metabolizing well inside your body, if
Mm,
you don't have those certain microbes, and if there is more of the pathogenic activity going on, and it will create
mm,
this inflammation.
mm.
So from this, what I deduce is any kind of guesswork related to nutrition, whether it is any artificial protein powders or any food which is a protein rich food, even soy, right? It could also lead to such problems, isn't it?
Yeah, so when you are suppose you're taking, you're saying that you said initially that we assume India is a protein deficient nation, right? It is not. Uh, Probably if you're thinking that, and if you want to take too much of protein, whatever way you are taking, whether it's protein powder,
Seriously,
snacks.
Sushant, at this point, I feel that these jargons and these statements are only made by people who want to run the supplements show and who want to make big bucks out of selling out supplements just like an FMCG product. Because these days you will see a lot of supplement ads everywhere on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever you go, even on LinkedIn sometimes, yeah. You'll see a lot of ads coming up and they're selling it like it's a biscuit. You can eat it like a snack, right?
Yeah, so
So
it's so see, it is their business model. It is their decision to sell, right? But you should have a proper thought process that your target customers should be the people, right, who benefit out of it. You create a value, but you do not create a health issue for them, right? So you should, when even you are selling something, oh, sell your protein supplements to bodybuilders who are getting in too much of, bodybuilding stuff, right? Do not sell them the name of that. Probably if you don't take protein, you will have type 2 diabetes, I have seen people who have high LDL production, right, are advised to take high protein. You are probably, telling them to die. And I'll tell you why. Because these similar stuff, TMAO, which I mentioned, peak cresol, which I mentioned, right? Tyrosine and filine, which I'm going to discuss now. These all actually at a cellular level, you know, uh, leads to overexpression of APOB 100, right? Leads to an over LDL production, which is again one of the biomarker for cardiovascular stuff, right? Cardiovascular disease, right? So So again, you don't have to see, okay, I'm taking protein. You have to see how each of these amino acids and the quantity you're taking is impacting various cellular processes, right? So this is really important. Similarly, phenylalanine. Phenylalanine is an essential amino acids we found in pumpkin seeds and a lot of eggs and a lot of these sources. And then phenylalanine can be converted by a microbiome into phenylacetic glutamine, PAG, phenylacetyl glutamine, right? And this is again is said to cause heart failure, said to cause heart disease, right? These are the metabolites released by microbiome consuming excess protein. Okay. So I've mentioned about picosol, I've mentioned about phenylalanine, I've mentioned about uh, TMA, I've mentioned about tryptophan, right?
Tyrosine. Tyrosine
Yeah,
also.
tyrosine again, it's precosol is a byproduct of tyrosine, right? So we
Hmm.
talk about all the uh, uremic toxins as well as the harmful microbial metabolites which can trigger. So these can
So
also trigger your.
I feel in the nutshell what we can deduce is that excess protein is not the right word, it is amino acids, isn't it? So excess of these amino acids, it will cause these kidney failure is certain to happen if you consume that in excess, because in all the pathways that you've mentioned there is a uremic toxin which is there, right? It will impact your
Yeah.
kidneys. Then
And
heart, obviously, because if your kidney is not filtering toxins, it is going to through your blood, right? It will go to the heart.
it's still oxidative stress that causes that.
Oxidative, yes, yes.
And
And then
and
diabetes as well, because diabetes is something which, I mean, it is very disturbing to know that all, if you go anywhere in the urban areas, right? I would say people above 40, at least two or three out of five people will be diabetic. You will
Mhm.
find that whatever the
Mhm.
numbers are official as per the market research, that is different. But if you really go out there, you will actually find many people above 40, they're going towards diabetes, they're actually diabetic, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is very alarming, and these and I think also the buyers and all the consumers who are buying such things, they should actually read the labels, they should actually see what kind of molecules they are going to ingest through these foods. Not only about it's not only about the vitamins and minerals, it's also about the ingredients. What all ingredients does it include? Now
See,
some of them might have artificial sweeteners as well, right?
I'll tell you, there's nothing called, people say it is personalized. What is personalized? You need to know now we have technologies in place. You need to know, you to analyze your body at a molecular level. You can get a digital footprint of your body, right? You can understand, okay, if probably I'm going to eat uh, tryptophan, what is going to come out of it? It is going to produce serotonin, or it is going to produce indole acetic, or it is going to produce endoxyl sulfate, right? Whether tyrosine is going to convert into precosol, which is going to cause oxidative stress. So these are the questions your body, your digital footprint of your body should be able to answer, right? The problem is, we still fall for these quick fix solutions, right? And another angle, I'll tell you why oxidative stress causes endothelial cell dysfunction. And endothelial cell dysfunction is linked to production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It is used to regulate blood flow, oxygen uptake, and oxygen delivery, right? So, if you have low nitric oxide production because of oxidative stress, you will lose the all cardioprotective benefits of exercise as well. You will anyways have type 2 diabetes because nitric oxide is used in insulin signaling, right? So you see everything is connected. You can't say I will address kidney issue, I will address heart issue, I will address pancreas issue, right? You have to see the entire body as a symbiotic whole rather than just looking at different organs, right? So protein is required. You could take, as you rightly pointed out initially in the discussion, that we have found protein is found in various vegetables, various other foods. So you don't need to have a specifically look at protein only foods or protein powders or protein sometimes unless you want to appear in a bodybuilding contest, right?
That's totally correct. And so, Sushant, let us conclude this talk and let us reveal a few things about these artificial snacks and proteins? What kind of toxins it might have? Like from what I've known about, after researching about protein powders, I do know that it contains some toxics or toxin these elements such as arsenic and lead. Is it true?
Not sure. They might be used, but you to understand whey protein is again, I don't want to get into too much of this discussion because it could be very controversial. But what I know is whey is a byproduct of cheese industries, right? And it is actually waste of cheese industry. It is thrown up, right? And again, there's a huge transportation cost for the cheese industry to throw it up, and that's why these were picked up this protein supplement companies and they use it to make it right. And again, when you my question is, when you have whey in milk, why do you need a protein powder? Oh, someone would argue, oh, probably I am lactose intolerant. Uh,
So
then
how
then
can
your
they
body
actually ingest whey in that case if they are lactose
and,
intolerant?
and lactose intolerant, it means my simple suggestion to you is you have an autoimmune issue, your
Hmm.
biology is dysfunctional, your gut microbiome is imbalanced. Probably fix your gut microbiome first rather than going for these protein sources, right? So artificial sweeteners is a complete no, right? If you if people say that artificial sweeteners is something, there is no research around it, right? So I'll tell you basic common sense here, right? When you consume artificial sweeteners, it's empty there's no calories in it, there's no glucose in it, right? It is a sweet flavor. So when your microbes in your mouth, so essentially what happens when you eat something, your microbes in your mouth pre-digest the food, it also sends metabolites to different body organs, including pancreas, right? That something is coming down, please be ready to metabolize it, right? Or react to it, or whatever way you want to do it, right? Or release in specific enzymes to absorb it, right? So when you eat something sweet, such as artificial sweet, which is sweet, so your oral microbiome is suggesting, oh, pancreas, something sweet is coming, please ready to release insulin, right? So when you release insulin, right, but there's no glucose to metabolize because there's no glucose in the artificial sweetness, right? So your level of insulin is high, right? And it makes you crave for more sugar, right? So it's a perfect business model for the sugar and these FMCG companies selling sweet stuff, right? And as you eat more this, you become insulin intolerant and you have type 2 diabetes, right? So it's a common sense, you know. You don't need a research to tell you, oh, artificial sweetness is bad. Okay, for cancerous situation, obviously there are research going on, but basic stuff, why artificial sweetness is bad for you, right?
That's totally you have hit
And
these points.
when you take sugar, when you have sugar cravings, you'll take sugar. Your microbes in your mouth would convert into lactic acid.
Lactic
It will
acid.
it will reduce your make your pH level acidic. It will lead to growth of pathogenic bacteria. It could increase your risk of gum disease and gingivitis and a lot of these things. It's again
And
linked
that
to the
is
type 2 diabetes.
actually the starting of all this systemic
Uh,
inflammation.
and if that is there, there's a chance of your oral microbiome may not be producing convert have the right microbes now to convert nitrate into nitrite, which is converted into nitric oxide. So obviously you would have that metabolic health issues as well, right? So it's not that difficult to understand, right? It's a common sense here. Obviously, research papers are there which could just further tell you the basic deep science behind connection to artificial sweeteners and cardiovascular or diabetes, obesity, or cancer situations, right? But it's a common sense why artificial sweeteners should not be consumed, right?
That's correct. That totally makes sense. And these days almost every other snack is going to have an artificial sweetener because that is how, they give
Every
it taste.
cookie,
Yeah.
every cookie, emulsify, artificial sweeteners, stabilizers, right? Everything is
Yes.
there. If they are
Yes.
saying sugar free, there will be something
There will be
to.
something that is true. So I think, Sushant, with this we end this talk here, and we have made some really, really points, interesting points to think about before buying such things for consumption. So I think let us end this talk here, and thank you everybody for listening to our talks time again. And you can also listen to us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and even Google Podcasts. Thank you.
Thank you.